All right. So there we go. Now let's import session data. And I have a template sitting right on the desktop. I'm going to go ahead and copy. All I'm doing, I'm not pulling in any audio. I'm just pulling the actual, what I call like the skin. And I'll show you here in a second. So it's,
are you pulling in blank tracks, or are you pulling in settings to go onto your current tracks?
all the above.
Okay.
All the above. I'm importing a session just without the audio. So this was from a song I mixed probably 2 months ago, and I've been using it pretty religiously.
Now, do you have your triggering and routing and all that stuff in there?
Everything is set up. So here is my template, all right? Up at the top, this is our audio. And then there is my template. So you can see I've got a master fader, I've got kicks, blah, blah, blah. Everything is set up. And then when you flip over to this side, you can see here's just the audio. And then we go there. This is the start of my template. Everything's grouped, it's routed. You can see I've got plugins left and right. Everything's set up. So I've got...
Can you talk about some of the groupings?
Sure. Let's see, let me get rid of this one. I always put my drums, I always go left to right. I don't know if it's just a comfort thing or what, but I always just group my kicks. I've got 3 I use. I always replace the kicks with 3 samples. I've got the real snare, a bottom snare, and 3 samples. And then I've got a room ambience that I fire off. Instead of using reverb, I actually use a reverb sample for the drums. Hi-hat, toms, and I trigger those. And actually, you'll see once we get going, I actually, I'll have to go to this other page. I use a combination of the samples and the live. So I'll clean the toms really, really tight, and we'll go through that as well. Overheads, rooms, tambourine track. Bass, acoustics, stereo acoustics are pretty common in Nashville. Electric guitars, here's another electric set. Let me put these in a group. When you're mixing, it really helps if you talk to yourself or hum unrelated songs.
Why is that?
I don't know. Or when you're mixing and you have a client in the room, make sure you're humming their song. When you're bouncing down, or if you're just walking around and go get something to drink or whatnot, don't hum another artist's song. Always make sure you're humming their song. And then they say, oh, that's cool, that must be a hit. It's stuck in your head. And you say, yeah. And then, 5 minutes later, you tell them the truth. No, I just hummed the last thing I've heard. So, okay. Lead vocals, background vocals. So everything is set up, ready to go. All my routing's done. I'll go through each one here and show everybody what's on it. But now let me show you how I drag this audio down. Go ahead and grab, some people know this, some don't. But all you do is hit Option, Apple, click on the hand, and then drag it down.
And that locks it in place.
That
so
locks it in place so you can't, oh, wait. Good Lord, sorry, Control Option. Sometimes
I forget those
I do
too.
too. And I've got 3 tracks of samples, so I'll go ahead and put these kicks on there. I never use the kick out. Let's use the snare top and bottom. Let's go ahead and put it on the snare track, and then we're gonna use that top to fire off our triggers. I've got a fat one, a mid one, and a top one, like a crack, and we'll go through those once we get loaded up. Hi-hats, toms, 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 overhead, overhead, room, room. Let's drag them down. Boom. There's mono, percussion's probably a tambourine. And as soon as we get this loaded, Eyal, Joel, I'll hit play and we'll see how close it is without even EQing anything. We may be mixed.
Now, one thing that's interesting, Billy, you're dropping some tracks, and we were kind of talking about this a little bit yesterday. So it was cool. Billy was showing us yesterday how he mixes and how he does his templates, and he takes out some of the unnecessary tracks that he knows he's never going to use. For example, you said they record acoustic guitars a certain way here.
Yes.
And you throw half of it out right off the bat.
A lot of
What's the
times I'll get
methodology?
stereo acoustics. So it's one pass, but there's two mics on it. And a lot of times I'll just choose one of the mics, whether it's the body or if it's pointed at the neck. And then I'll get multiple passes of those. So I'll just cut them down to mono and then make a stereo pair out of what was two stereos, turn it into mono and make a stereo there.
You're also rather ruthless about room mics.
Yes, I will usually keep the room, but I am a huge direct mic guy. That's just my thing. That's what I like. But I'll have the room because a lot of my clients will be like, you know what, let's go with a big kind of an ambient sound. I like the two mics on the drum kit type thing. That's just what they like. So I always keep them around. But if I get multiple room mics, like we had a mono one there and a kick out I didn't use, stuff like that, a lot of times it'll just go into the trash bin. Where are we at? We're starting to drag down keyboards. All right, let's grab another one, drag it down. And I think, Joel, you said you did kind of the same thing where after you drag it down, you go back and you go ahead and erase it.
Yeah,
So you don't actually import something twice. So let me get rid of everything we've dumped so far. So now there's a reverse cymbal. We can put that on the cymbal track right there. Rise and hit, let's take that, stick it right by the tambourine because that's percussion. Get rid of that. We've got Chris's vocal and Cassidy's vocal. And we will stick those right on vocal tracks. And I'll explain why. I'm not doubling the vocal, but I'm making it twice as loud. I mix really hot, for better or worse, it's just what I do. And I always have trouble getting the vocals over the tracks. So I actually put it on 2 tracks and it's twice as loud. So right there, if I started mixing, I would have a real hard time getting that above the level or of the track. So I just basically, it's like if you had a console in the patch bay, you would just mult it out. So it's a clone rather than a double. It's identical. And if they're not identical with your plugins, you'll get phasing issues and all that stuff, and it sounds horrible. So don't actually double it. If you want to double it, you actually sing a double, and we'll put it in the background section. Okay, C, right there. Let's give them each their own group. So we're gonna lock these bad boys. Dun, dun. And then, all right. Don't have any backgrounds, so we'll just leave those blank. And we still have 2 more synth tracks. Nope. Okay, just 1 more. All right, let's drag this down. All right, now let's get rid of the steel. We don't have that, the synth, other one. So right now I'm just cleaning everything up. There we go. Now, with any luck, this will sound.
Talk about same drinks that we're all raising, but all of the toast just don't feel the same. We used to be the life of the party.
We're done. Thank you for attending Nail the Mix 2017.
Sounds mixed.
Sounds mixed.